So I want to talk about influencer marketing a little bit, just because
Yep.
you've been very successful at it in a variety of groups, right? So what have you noticed? You mentioned earlier in terms of there is a difference for you in apparel, right? It could be sizing, it could be. So talk to me about what some of the challenges are from an influencer marketing
Yep.
perspective that you've observed, specifically in
Yep.
apparel or even in the UK's. As well as, what are some of your other philosophies outside of relationships? Do you have any other things that you really think about that have made you successful?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think, the transition to apparel and that category shift is definitely, it was interesting, right? Because I came in and sort of said, we have this recipe that works at Tula, right? And I
Yep,
was
yep.
so, I love what we were building there. And so I was really keen to figure out a way to replicate it and to bring that to Sweaty Betty. And I think at the time, we were certainly doing influencer marketing, but it was definitely more through the sort of PR lens, and not quite as relationship driven. And it was a really, eye-opening experience for me to see that there is such a difference in the category, and that you really have to figure out sort of what works for your business and for your price point and for your customer and for your creator and partner. Because, certainly with Tula, what was great, and I think is probably similar in many beauty businesses, is that it is a considered purchase, but it is also at a price and sort of a category that is relatively easy to test, right? The barrier to say I'm going to try something in beauty is relatively low, and so you see that with customers, right? They are willing to, especially in color, but in skin as well, to try. And so that dynamic with creators, I think, works really well, because the creator says, just try this. And so many of his or her followers are willing to listen and to try. So that direct connection between here's a product that an influencer or creator will discuss, and here's the end action, was very easy to track. In apparel, at least at our price point, which is a bit, is sort of within the Lulu range, so premium activewear, it's a bit trickier, right? Because it is a more considered purchase. And what we found is that we were trying to sort of apply this exact same, hey, if we give this to influencer and she has maybe a promo code or she has some way of tracking it, of course, we'll immediately be able to understand traffic back to the website and conversion. And it's not a direct path. For us, it is definitely more sort of brand building, brand awareness, understanding the product. And certainly there's some direct, immediate convincing. But we definitely felt that there was going to be tracking was going to be a lot trickier. And I think what the team have been able to do now is be able to say, one, working with partners more consistently and over a longer period of time was really, really important. Because again, this is, I think followers really want to see our product in use. They want to see it in different environments. They want to understand the fit. They want to understand the fabric. There's lots of questions that she needs to answer. And so one thing that we've found is that if we work with someone consistently over a longer period of time, we're better able to understand if that, partnership is driving traffic and generating, sales. And driving that kind of conversion. So that was a big difference from Tula. Not to say that in beauty, you shouldn't also partner with people over time, but I think that there is a dynamic at play that is, a bit quicker in beauty. And I think, at least in our category in apparel, requires a longer conversation.
Totally. I mean, what you're talking about is what we're seeing in the numbers, right? And this is, it really is across categories, kind of like you mentioned. But the brands that are growing are showing these consistency of relationships, right? As measured, we measure it by retention, right? So if you look at it, it is just as retention of your influencers go is as your EMV goes, right? It is just in lockstep. And I think that people tend to make the mistake of constantly focusing on new, right? I need new people to talk about me, new exposure. It's like, no. Let's get these people to be rabid fans of the brand. And consumers, they're going to have to see it 15 times, 20 times before they actually make a purchase. It's a lot, right? And so if you're measuring it purely on a last click basis, you're just really underestimating the impact generally.
Completely.
So yeah, that makes sense.
So I think that was definitely a big, learning curve for me, and just respecting and understanding that you can't apply, a recipe
Yeah,
and a
totally.
strategy across business. You really have to be open-minded, and we've tested lots and lots of different ways of working with folks, and I think that is one piece of the pie that's really come through. And then I think measuring in different ways. Again, I think with Tula, a lot of really having that paid marketing lens has worked really well for them, and I think continues to work well for them. For us, interestingly, I might be getting ahead of you because I think you were going to ask me about structure, but interestingly,
Yeah.
Here's your next question.
You're on a roll.
Where does it sit within our team? But it is a shared, it is a shared function, and it is a function that sits pretty squarely in between performance marketing and brand, because there is that performance marketing piece to say, how do we fit this into the performance marketing funnel? Is this content that we can repurpose? Can we boost a post? Can we use this content in our ads? And we think about spend in that from that perspective. And there's sort of the brand PR, brand awareness element that sits within our brand team. And so that team really sits like smack in the middle. And I think whereas it, in Tula, we really had it more of that sort of that paid marketing, org. So you have to be willing to adapt to what you're seeing. And that means adapting both from a strategy standpoint as well as a team structure.